All Progressives Congress, APC. Movement of God's people from the People's Democratic Party, PDP, to the All Progressives Congress, APC. I write to formally inform you, sir, the Senate, and indeed Nigerians, of my defection from the People's Democratic Party, PDP, to the All Progressives Congress, APC. This is as a result of the mismanagement of the PDP by Governor Ahmadu Umaru Fintiri in Adamawa State, which led to the crisis in the party that in turn led to the polarization of the party in the state, PDP and RPDP factions. Today, I join the APC and the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari, to build the Nigeria of our dreams. The journey may be long, but we are on the right track, as I strongly believe that by the end of the tenure of Mr. President, Nigeria will be a better place. My Senate President, sir, it is worthy of note that in the history of Nigeria's national democracy, specifically from 1999 till date, no president has paid attention to the welfare of Nigerian citizens like President Muhammadu Buhari, as it is evident in packages such as 1, conditional cash transfer, 2, homegrown school feeding program, 3, trader money, 4, market money, 5, farmers money, 6, Empower, 7, special public works program, currently employing 1,000 persons from each of the 774 local government areas. 8, National Agricultural Land Development Authority, NALDA, Buhari Young Farmers Network. 9, Artisans and Transportation Grants. 10, Guaranteed Off-Take Scheme. 11, CSC Business Formalization Scheme. 12, Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Grants, among others. Thus, in living up to the expectation of the good people of Adamawa North Senatorial District, I hereby defect from the People's Democratic Party, PDP, to the All Progressives Congress, APC, with effect from today, being Wednesday, the 25th day of November 2020. Accept, distinguished Senate President, sir, the assurances of my highest regards. Signed, Senator Isha Kwabo, SIA. Congratulations. Leader of the Senate, give him his new seat. Distinguished colleagues, I think this is a welcome development, and this is a show of patriotism. This is a show of purpose. This is a show of unity for development of our country. We are inviting the remaining distinguished colleagues to join hands with the APC to build Nigeria of our dreams, to borrow his words. And of course, we know that everyone here has a good heart. We are in constant touch and we are available. Congratulations, distinguished Senator Ishaku Abo. And of course, we'll have an APC caucus meeting today with the leadership of our party. So you are coming at the right time, spot on. Thank you very much. Birthday announcement. The 25th of November, that is today, is the birthday of distinguished Senator Ladi Sankara Abdullahi Dallatu Ringim. On behalf of all of us, I wish our distinguished brother, colleague and friend a very happy birthday, long life and prosperity, and indeed many more years of service to Jigawa State and the fatherland, Nigeria. Congratulations. Petitions. Senator Nicholas Tofo-Omo.
It's not petition. I want to rise on order 42 and 52.
No, it's petitions. Senator Matthew Uregide.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm Senator Matthew Urogide. I represent the good people of Edo South Senatorial District. Mr. President, I have a petition on behalf of one of my constituents, the Honorable Peter Elache Ayeni, against Union Home Savings and Loans Limited. Honorable Ayeni had put some savings and fixed deposits in Union Home Savings and Loans. He has come to the Senate for intervention so that he'll be able to recover his loans and of course his deposits, in the bank. This petition is not encumbered by any legal process. So I crave your indulgence that I come to lay it, Mr. President.
Okay, since the petitioner is not seeking any judicial remedy, you may lay the petition. The petition is referred to the Senate Committee on Ethics, Privileges, and Public Petitions to report back within 2 weeks. Petitions. Leader of the Senate. Point of order, Deputy Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Very distinguished colleagues. My name is Senator Boacha. I represent Taraba South. Mr. President, I rise on the strength of Order 43 on personal explanation and 52. May I crave your indulgence, Mr. President?
You merit.
On the leave of the President of the Senate, a senator may make a personal explanation, though there be no question before the Senate, but no controversial matter may be brought forward or debate there arise upon this explanation. However, the matter will necessitate consideration of Order 52, Mr. President, which is notice shall...
Which order are you citing? You said 43. But how can you read 43 and 42? You can't. You can't take order 43 and 52. Because 43 is personal explanation and it's not debatable. 52. 52 only. Okay.
Notice shall not be dispensed with in the case of a motion or in respect of any other proceeding for which notice is required except with the consent of the President of the Senate and the general assent of the senators present. Recall, Mr. President, I discussed the matter in question with
Deputy Minority Leader, if you come under 52, you can't say anything here. Because it's only 42 that will give you that opportunity to present, but you need to waive the provisions of 42. So it's either you take 42 and 52, or if you still with 52, then you can't present anything.
Mr. President, the reference was actually to 42 and not personal explanation. 42 and 52. There was a mix-up.
So you are coming under 42 and 52. Yes. Give us the synopsis just briefly, 1 minute.
The matter in question, Mr. President, has to do with the spate of insecurity, the increasing insecurity, with some references to fresh issues at stake and suggestion on way forward so as to create an atmosphere of confidence within the citizenry. For there appear to be a growing concern for the collapse of security for our people. And I think the suggestion will help us move forward so that we'll be able to collaborate with the various security apparatus to find a common ground.
Okay. Well, distinguished colleagues, because he has come under orders 42 and 52, he needs the endorsement of at least 1/5 of our colleagues. So those in favor that we oblige him to present his motion now, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, distinguished colleagues. The matter, the challenge of insecurity is a common event within our body politics. Everybody appears to be conscious of this. But, Mr. President, I want us to note as a Senate that the rate of insecurity in the country has not only increased astronomically, but has reached a melting point. This challenge melts or manifests in varied forms. It manifests in kidnapping, banditry, armed robbery, assassination, and a host of other criminal activities. Mr. President, the recent assassination of the chairman of APC in Nasarawa State, which is one of the high-profile assassinations, is still very fresh in our memories. A Chinese national a fortnight ago was abducted in my community who are involved in road construction. And as I speak now, his whereabouts is still unknown. Worried that there is growing suspicion of complicity of officials who are saddled with the responsibility of protecting lives and properties of the citizens, but compromised in the process. This is heightened by arrest of several security operatives involved in armed robbery, kidnapping activities across the country. It's only in Nigeria, Mr. President, that communication facilities can be used without biometric process, no valid identification of passport details in the case of foreigners, and in a place so as to check abuse of this process. Bandits, terrorists negotiate for ransom using telephones and getting away with it. Mr. President, how can we be so negligent as a people and as leaders, all of us, and insensitive to the safety and security of our citizens? The Senate is concerned that the confidence between the protected and the protector is being increasingly eroded, resulting to breakdown of law and order, as demonstrated in the NSAS protest, which was subsequently hijacked by miscreants. And today, we are paying for it. Further note, Mr. President, that the political permutations across the landscape is also attracting politicians to recruit criminals for the purpose of destabilizing the corporate existence of our country. This evil intent can be easily achieved given the poor control over communication facility, this inability of our security apparatus and service providers to effectively manage this all-important sector. Mr. President, arising from this, I want to highlight as the main focus of this motion that this Senate summoned the Minister of Communication accordingly to interface with our standing committee, whether an ad hoc committee to be set up for this purpose, to interface with the various service chiefs and communication minister and service providers so as to fine-tune the usage of these communication facilities. I so move, Mr. President.
Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, I rise to second this important motion and also make a brief remark about the issues that have been highlighted in the motion. The spike of insecurity in this country of recent, of course, has been noticed by all and sundry. It has become a very, very serious and protracted issue. This distinguished chamber will note that because of the prominence and priority this distinguished Senate accorded to the issue of security, that was the first issue that we dealt with across party lines by setting up a high-powered ad hoc committee to look into this matter. That ad hoc committee interacted with all the security-related institutions that the deputy leader of the minority has talked about. We interacted with the Minister of Communications, we interacted with the military, we interacted with the security organs, we interacted with the paramilitary, we interacted with all the intelligence agencies. and came up with a copious report that was unanimously endorsed by all the senators of the Federal Republic. In addition to the summary of this report, which was passed on to the government for action, I personally circulated that document, that report that was endorsed by this distinguished chamber, to the Minister of Defense, to the National Security Advisor, to the Director of DSS, to the Minister of the Interior, to all, and even Minister of Communications. And the recommendations in this report are very well directed and practical. Therefore, I will suggest that the issue that this motion is raising, particularly the issue of interfacing with the Minister of Communication, has been well taken care of. I think with about 2 pages of that report. So I will rather say that the resolution should be that the Minister of Communication should look into the recommendations of the Senate regarding the implementation of the security and communication arrangement that has been made in the Senate document for implementation. I think that's the issue, because all the issue that you are raising is an implementation issue. Therefore, the issue is the Minister of Communication to look into the recommendations on the implementation of the suggestions of this Senate regarding that particular matter. With this, Mr. President, I raise my case. Thank you, sir.
Senator Johnson, Manager.
Thank you, Mr. President. My respected colleagues, James, Bureau Manager, Delta South. Mr. President, because we were elected to do a job here, and that's the reason why it is important to say something about this motion on security in the country. Otherwise, Mr. President, this particular Senate, for so many times, debated the issue of insecurity in this country. This Senate held a security summit. Mr. President, this Senate held a security summit. In the last Senate, you who is presiding today was the chairman of that committee. For 1 week, a security summit took place, and all the security chiefs were invited, and they told us very clear terms what was happening and what is happening in the country. This Senate, again, in this particular session, under the chairmanship of the Senate leader today, held a security summit, and far-reaching resolutions were taken in addition to the ones taken the last time. So far, I don't know, as I stand here to speak, what has been done to the resolutions that we took in this summit that the Senate held. And we keep on hearing stories of people being kidnapped, people being killed. The last one, of course, as mentioned by the mover of this motion, was the one that took place in Nasarawa State. Our highly revered chairman of the APC was kidnapped from his house and was killed not too far from his house. And these are the stories we hear every day, every day. Either people are killed in Ibadan, or they are killed in Benin, or they are killed along the road. A lot of killings are taking place every day, Mr. President. I want to support the position taken by the Senate leader, because we have virtually done everything. All that needs to be done, we have done here. And therefore, this patriotic motion of Senator Buacha deputy leader, minority leader of the Senate. They referred to the minister to take cognizance of the resolutions that we took. That document speaks all about the insecurity in this country. And therefore, Mr. President, if there's anything to be done, we have to take to ensure, I'm sure there is a senior committee on compliance. Let the senior committee on compliance, I'm sure it's a standing committee on compliance of Senate resolutions, do the work and let Nigerians benefit from what we are being paid to do here, Mr. President. So I support this motion, but the amendment brought by the senior leader is germane and is very, very important, so that let's see what will happen. It is important on behalf of all our people. The state of insecurity is becoming very, very alarming. Mr. President, I support the motion, and I urge all my colleagues to support this very important motion by Senator Emmanuel Bwacha.
Thank you very much. I think I share the same sentiments with leader and Senator Jones' manager. We are not going to set up an ad hoc committee just to interfere with the Minister of Communications on this. I would suggest that our Senate Committee on Communications should invite the Minister and ensure that he implements those provisions or those resolutions we have passed in the last Senate and in this Senate as well on how the communications subsector would aid in the fight against the insecurity that we have been facing. So, Senate Leader, hi. Please allow the Senate Leader to concentrate. Senate Leader. Leader, just hold on. I think we need to amend the prayer.
Amendment.
Instead of the ad hoc committee to set our ad hoc committee, which is unnecessary, let's make it our committee on communications.
Communications and the two joint committees on legislative compliance and communications to invite the Minister of Communication with a view to employing on him to implement the recommendations and resolutions of the Senate, in the area, in his area of mandate on matter of security.
Second, Senator Johnson.
Very naturally, Mr. President, I rise to second the motion as moved by the Senate leader. Thank you, Mr. President.
So, distinguished colleagues, there is only one prayer, and that is the one amended, and I'll put the question that the Senate Committee on Communications and Legislative Compliance interface with the Minister of Communications and Digital Economy to ensure the implementation of the recommendations of the Senate on the fight against insecurity as it relates to his ministry. Those in favor say aye. Those against any the ayes have it. Thank you very much. Senator Nicholas Tofomo.
I'm rising on the order of Order 42 and 52. Order 42, sir. The matter for discussion shall, if possible, be referred to the President of the Senate before commencement of the day's sitting, and the President of the Senate shall refuse to allow the claim unless if he is satisfied that the matter is definite and urgent. If the claim is allowed by the President of the Senate and the leave of the Senate is given by at least 1/5 of all the senators, the matters shall stand over till the next day. Not more than one such motion shall be made at a same sitting. Then order 42, which is dispensing with notice. Notice shall not be dispensed with in the case of a motion or in respect of any other proceedings for which notice is required, except with the consent of the President of the Senate and the general assent of the Senators sitting. An urgent need to rescue is an urgent need in Ayeto community in Ondo State, where there is an...
What is it about? What is it about?
It's about oceanic surge in Ayeto, in my constituency, that wiped out 308 houses.
The boys are hungry.
You know, we didn't discuss it, but I will allow you to go ahead when the Senate endorses it. But next time maybe we need to discuss, because I didn't know what it is. The distinguished colleagues, those in favor that we allow our colleague, which I think we should, to present his motion coming under 42 and 52, say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. So go ahead.
Thank you so much. I would have come earlier, but I have no legs to walk to you. So that is why. So I thank you so much.
The need to implement resolution.
The President of the Senate, my colleagues,
Mandate of his ministry.
I want you to note that Ayetoro, which used to be called Ayetoro Floating City in the 1970s, has suffered a severe ocean current disaster, which has depleted the floating city and destroyed 308 houses, swept away fishing tools, and rendered many people homeless. It's regrettable that Ayetoro, which is part of the Nigeria Delta region, is yet to receive any support from the NDDC. Same also Ondo State Oil Producing and Development Corporation, the SOPADEC, which oversees oil producing part of Ondo State. It's regrettable also that crude oil exporting communities which operate around the region with its offices in the Lajel local government has not supported either. It's considered that Ayetoro Floating City's major occupation is fishing. Hence, most of the residents have suffered losses of their fishing tools, and this has rendered most of them helpless and jobless. Perceive that Ayetoro community has been neglected by NDDC and Ondo State government for not building oceanic barriers to stop, curtail the effect of flooding and ocean waves. I accordingly resolve to 1, urge the NDDC and Ondo State government to respond and assist victims in the community, as well as develop a master plan that includes building of oceanic barriers to control flooding and ocean surge in the region. Number 2, urge the Nigeria Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA, to visit Ayetoro, ascertain the level of destruction in the community with a view to provide solution to protect future occurrence. And the last one, urge oil producing companies to assist the community in rebuilding some of the infrastructure destroyed by the surge. I so move. Thank you, sir.
I need someone to support this motion. Senator Tolu Odebi.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm Tolu Odebi from Ogun West. I rise to support the motion ably moved by my good friend Senator Tofomo. I hereby second.
Distinguished colleagues, let's go to the prayers. The Senate accordingly resolves to urge the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, and Ondo State Government to respond and assist victims in the community, as well as develop a master plan that includes building of ocean barriers to control flooding and ocean side in the region. Those in favor of this prayer say aye. Those against any, the ayes have it. Prayer 2, urge the Nigeria Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA, to visit Ayatoro to ascertain the level of destruction in the community with a view to profile solution to prevent future occurrence. Those in favor of this prayer say aye. Those against any, the ayes have it. And prayer 3, urge oil producing companies to assist the community in rebuilding some of the infrastructure destroyed by the search. Are you saying oil producing companies in Oyetoro, in Ondo, or just across the country? Because you need to be specific.
In Ayetoro, yeah, the oil companies around there.
So the prayer will be, prayer 3, urge oil producing companies operating in Oyetoro to assist the community in rebuilding some of the infrastructure destroyed by the search. Those in favor of prayer 3 say aye. Those against any, the ayes have it. Thank you very much. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the first business of the day is the presentation of our...
Senator Betty Apiafi, you are welcome. We appreciate that sense of unity of purpose.
The first business of the day, Mr. President, is the presentation of our bill standing in the name of the distinguished Senator Ubasani on the Firearms Act Amendment Bill 2020. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Firearms Amendment Bill 2020, SB 549, first reading.
Firearms Act Cab F28 LFN. This is it complete? LFN 2004. Where are the lawyers? Is this supposed to be LFN 2004 or just LFN? It has to be specific, isn't it? DSP.
Sorry, I wasn't listening. I'm sorry.
Okay. They say Firearms Act Cab F28 LFN. I imagine that it will be LFN 2004. Amendment Bill 2020 LB 549. First reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
It's 11. Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the second business of the day is the presentation of our bill standing in the name of the distinguished Senator Ibikunle Amosu on the Motor Vehicle Third-Party Insurance Amendment Act, Bill 2020, Senate Bill 579. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Motor Vehicle Third-Party Insurance Act CAF M23 LFN 2004, Amendment Bill 2020 SB 579, first reading.
Motor Vehicles Third-Party Insurance Act Cap M23 LFN 2004. Amendment Bill 2020 SB 579, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the third business of the day is the presentation of our bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Yisa Okajef on the Oil and Gas Export Free Zone Act Amendment Bill 2020. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Oil and Gas Export Free Zone Act CAF C05 LFN 2004 Amendment Bill 2020 SB 573, first reading.
Oil and Gas Export Free Zone Act Cap C05 LFN 2004 Amendment Bill 2020 573, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, The fourth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Oluremi Shade Tinubu on the Stamp Duties Act, Cap S8, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, Amendment Bill 2020. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Stamp Duties Act Cap 5 S8 FLN 2004 Amendment Bill 2020 SB 544 first reading.
Stamp Duties Act Cap S8 LFN 2004 Amendment Bill 2020 SB 544 first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the fifth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Olalekan Ramoni Mustafa on the Nigerian Correctional Services Academy Establishment Bill 2020. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Nigerian Correctional Services Academy Establishment Bill 2020 SB 545 first reading.
Nigerian Correctional Services Academy Establishment Bill 2020 SB 545 first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the sixth business of the day is the presentation of the report of the Committee on Aviation on the unfair competition that is urgent need to protect Nigeria's indigenous airlines from extinction due to multiple designations and multiple frequencies granted foreign airlines in Nigeria. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Smart Ademi, Chairman of the committee, to move the motion for the Senate to receive the report.
Senator Smart Ademi. Leader. He's not here. Is anyone presenting on his behalf? No. We'll stand it down.
Well, Mr. President, I rise to move the motion for the distinguished chamber to stand down consideration of this motion to another legislative day. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, I rise to second the motion as moved.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that we stand down the consideration the receipt of this report till another legislative day, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the first order of the day is a motion requesting the Senate to consider the request of Mr. President, Commander-in-Chief, for the confirmation of the nomination of the following persons for appointment as chairman and members of the National Commission for Persons with Disabilities in accordance with Section 3(2), Subsection 3 of the Discrimination Against Persons with Disabilities Prohibition Act 2019. And the nominees are as follows. Number 1, Hon Dr. Hussein Suleiman Kangiwa, Chairman, Northwest. Number 2, Opadaku Onyejelam Jaja, Member, Southeast. Number 3, Philomena Isioma Kongwea, Member, South-South. Number 4, Omopariola Basui Olu Wosola, Member, Southwest. Number 5, Amina Rama Audu, Member, Northwest. Number 6, Mrs. Esther Andrew Au, Member, North Central. And number 7, Abba Aud Ibrahim, Member, Northeast. Mr. President, distinguished senators, the purpose of this motion is for the request of Mr. President to be referred to the relevant committee for further legislative action. I therefore move that the request of Mr. President, Commander-in-Chief, be referred to the appropriate committee for further legislative action. So,
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, I rise to second the motion as moved.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the request of Mr. President CNC be referred to the appropriate committee, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. And the request of Mr. President CNC is hereby referred to the Committee on Sports and Youth Development for further legislative action and to report back within 2 weeks. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the second order of the day is a motion requesting the Senate to consider the request of Mr. President Commander-in-Chief for the confirmation of the nomination of Professor Yakubu Mahmoud for appointment as Chairman, Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, in accordance with Section 154, Subsection 1 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended. Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, the purpose of this motion on the order paper is for the request of Mr. President Commander-in-Chief to be referred to the appropriate committee for further legislative action. I therefore move, Mr. President, that the request of Mr. President Commander-in-Chief be referred to the appropriate committee for further legislative action. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion that Mr. President's request be referred to the appropriate committee. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the request of Mr. President C&C be referred to the appropriate committee for further legislative action, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. The request of Mr. President C&C is hereby referred to the Senate Committee on INEC for further legislative action and to report back on Tuesday, 1st day of December 2020. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the third order of the day is a motion requesting the Senate to consider the request of Mr. President Commander-in-Chief for the confirmation of the nomination of Professor Abdullahi Abdul for appointment as National Commissioner in the Independent National Electoral Commission, in accordance with paragraph 14, part 1F of the third schedule to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the purpose of this motion on the order paper is for the request of Mr. President, Commander-in-Chief, to be referred to the relevant committee for further legislative action. I therefore move that the request of Mr. President, Commander-in-Chief, be referred to the appropriate committee for further legislative action, and I so move.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, I rise to second the motion of the President.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the request of Mr. President C&C be referred to the appropriate committee for further legislative action, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. The request of Mr. President C&C is hereby referred to the Senate Committee on INEC for further legislative action and to report back on Tuesday, 1st day of December 2020. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the fourth order of the day is a motion requesting the Senate to consider the request of Mr. President Commander-in-Chief for the confirmation of the nomination of the following persons for appointment as Chairman, Vice Chairman, and Commissioner of the National Electricity Regulatory Commission, NERC, in accordance with Section 34 and 40, subsection 1 of the Electricity Power Reform Act. The names are as follows. Number 1, Engineer Sanusi Garba, Chairman. Number 2, Dr. Musliu Olalekan Oseni, Executive Vice Chairman. Number 3, Aisha Mahmoud, Commissioner. Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, the purpose of this motion is for the request of Mr. President Commander-in-Chief to be referred to the relevant committee for further legislative action. I therefore move that the request of Mr. President Commander-in-Chief be referred to the appropriate committee for further legislative action. And I so move.
Minority Leader.
I rise to second this move, Mr. President.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the request of Mr. President C&C be referred to the appropriate committee for further legislative action, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. The request of Mr. President C&C is hereby referred to the Senate Committee on Power for further legislative action to report back on Tuesday, 1st day of December 2020. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected colleagues, the fifth order of the day is a motion requesting the Senate to consider the request of Mr. President Commander-in-Chief for the confirmation of the nomination of Chief Oyemuche Nnamani for appointment as a member of the Police Service Commission in accordance with Section 154, subsection 1 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the purpose of this motion is for the request of Mr. President Commander-in-Chief to be referred to the relevant committee for further legislative action. I therefore move that the request of Mr. President Commander-in-Chief be referred to the appropriate committee for further legislative action, and I so move.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, I second the motion as moved.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the request of Mr. President CNC be referred to the appropriate committee for further legislative action, say aye. Those against, any the ayes have it. The request of Mr. President CNC is referred to the Committee on Police Affairs for further legislative action to report back within 2 weeks. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the sixth order of the day is a motion requesting the Senate to consider the request of Mr. President Commander-in-Chief for the confirmation of the nomination of the following persons for appointment as the Governing Council of the Hydroelectric Power Producing Areas Development Commission, HYPADEC, in accordance with Section 3, Subsection 2 of the Hydroelectric Power Producing Areas Development Commission, HYPADEC Act. They are as follows. Number 1, Etiab Joseph Terfa, Binwe, Chairman. Abubakar Sadiq Yalwa, Kebi, Managing Director. Alhaji Isa Oji Salami, OFR, Kogi, Member. Tawhid Dawood Toyin Kwara, Member. Paul Mikhail A. Bisimosahi, Niger, Member. Salim Muhammad Galadima Kanam, Plateau, Member. Engineer Aminu Muhammad Ganda, Sokoto, Member. Then Chief Barrister Utum Eteng, Cross River, Member. Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, the purpose of this motion is for the request of Mr. President Commander-in-Chief to be referred to the relevant committee for further legislative action. I therefore move that the request of Mr. President Commander-in-Chief be referred to the appropriate committee for further legislative action. And I so move.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, I rise to second the motion that the aforementioned names be referred to the appropriate committee for further legislative action.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the request of Mr. President CNC be referred to the appropriate committee for further legislative action, say aye. Those against, any the ayes. The request of Mr. President CNC is referred to the Senate Committee on Power for further legislative action to report back within 2 weeks. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected colleagues, the seventh order of the day is a motion requesting the Senate to consider the request of Mr. President Commander-in-Chief for the confirmation of the nomination of Umar Farouk Aminu for appointment as a full-time commissioner representing the Northwest Geopolitical Zone in the National Pension Commission in accordance with Section 19, Subsection 3 of the Pension Reforms Act 2014. Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, the purpose of this motion is for the request of Mr. President Commander-in-Chief to be referred to the relevant committee for further legislative action. I therefore move that the request of Mr. President Commander-in-Chief be referred to the appropriate committee for further legislative action, and I so move.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, I second the motion that's moved.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the request of Mr. President CNC be referred to the appropriate committee for further legislative action, say aye. Those against, say nay, the ayes have it. The request of Mr. President CNC is hereby referred to the Committee on Establishment and Public Service Matters for further legislative action and to report back within 2 weeks. Leader of the Senate.
President, point of order.
Point of order. Senator Michael Opeyemi Bamidele.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I'm Michael Opeyemi Bamidele. I represent the Central Senatorial District. Mr. President, my point of order is with respect to Order 42 of our standing orders, Order 43, personal explanation, as well as a constitutional point of order referring to a section of a particular act made pursuant to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended, and specifically, sir, Section 93. Sorry, Mr. President. Section 19, subsection 3 of the Pension Reform Act, as well as, Mr. President, Well, I'll leave it at that. Mr. President, my point is this, and all I'm trying to safeguard is the record of this Senate. And if in another 20 years anybody is going through our Hansard, there should not be a problem trying to reconcile. I refer specifically to the letter from Mr. President dated 5th November 2020, which was read on the floor of this House, of this Senate yesterday, and of course today has just been referred, legitimately so. Mr. President, this letter did not appear to have taken cognizance of the fact that 2 months ago, a similar letter with the same request on this House, on this Senate, had been read on the floor. There should be something in this letter that will at least show either that Mr. President is substituting Honorable Farouk, the new nominee, for the former nominee, or, the former nominee is being withdrawn. It cannot be the same language, the same way it was written, and then on our other paper, it will also be, the same language, the same procedure being referred to the committee. So I really feel that for the record, it needs to be identified and acknowledged that, there has been a similar request regarding another nominee, and this is probably a substitution of whatever it is. I just felt I should make that point, Mr. President. Thank you so much.
Senator Ahmed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I think we all know the reason why the first candidate, after a proper scrutiny by the committee, they find the last nominee wanted, and as such, the presidency respected the observation of the Senate and presented another candidate. So I don't think that it's any. We have had to go through the same process before. So I don't think this is an anomaly.
Well, thank you very much for your observation, but let me say that the President is not breaking any law by writing the letter wrote that way. And let me also say here that this nomination, I would say, is as a result of a position taken by the Senate. The Senate did not confirm the initial nominee from the Northwest. I think that's the issue. And we had our grounds why we didn't confirm that nominee. And it was conveyed to the President. And the President decided, okay, our grounds were solid enough. And he presented. I think we should commend the executive for respecting the resolution or the position of the Senate. So your point of order is noted. Thank you. I think I've already put the question, or didn't I? Leader. Okay, I put the question. So let me put it again, because there is need to remind ourselves. Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion moved by the leader and seconded by the minority leader that the request of Mr. President CNC be referred to the appropriate committee for further legislative action, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The request of Mr. President CNC is hereby referred to the Committee on Establishment and Public Service Matters for further legislative action and report back within 2 weeks. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the eighth order of the day is the presentation and consideration of the report of the Committee on Trade and Investment on the confirmation of the nominations of the following persons listed on the order paper for the appointment as Chairman, Executive Vice Chairman, and Chief Executive Officer and Commissioners and non-executive commissioners of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Council Commission. Distinguished senators will recall that the request of Mr. President Commander-in-Chief was referred to the committee on Wednesday, 30th September 2020. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Francis Adenigba Fadaunsi, chairman of the committee to move the motion for the presentation and consideration of the report.
Senator Francis Adeniba is vice chairman, not chairman of the committee.
Chairman.
So he is the one to present the report. Distinguished Senator Francis Adeniba, Fadamsi.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator Francis Adeniba Fadamsi, co-FR. I represent the good people of Plenary. I rise to present the report of the Committee on Trade and Investment on confirmation of the nomination for appointment as Chairman, Executive Vice Chairman, Chief Executive Officer, Commissioners, non-executive commissioners of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission. So I move to submit the report and table it before the whole Senate. So I move.
I need a seconder. Senator Geshambasi.
Thank you, Mr. President. Geshambasi, Cross River South. I second the motion moved by Senator Fadamsi.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate do receive and consider the report of our committee on trade and investment, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. You may let the report, please. You may present the report now. I would suggest that you can go to the recommendations so that we save time.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I hereby present the report of the Senate Committee on Trade and Investment on the screening of Chairman, Executive Vice Chairman, Chief Executive Commissioners, and non-executive commissioners of the Federal Competitive and Consumer Protection Commission. The Senate Committee on Trade and Investment, having screened 7 out of the 8 nominees, carefully scrutinized their credentials, and having been satisfied with their performances, experiences, qualification, and competencies, hereby recommend that the Senate do confirm the nomination of the underlisted persons as Chairman, Executive Vice Chairman, Chief Executive Officer, Commissioners, and non-executive commissioners of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, FCCPC. They are Barrister Erika Nwaba, Chairman, Babatunde Irukera, Executive Vice Chairman, Adamu Ahmed Abdullahi, Executive Commissioner, Air Vice Marshal Wakili A. Ahmed, Non-Executive Commissioner. Ayang Francis Eyang, Non-Executive Commissioner. Dr. Ben Obi Uwoyi, Non-Executive Commissioner. And Chief Theophilus S. Oyebi, Non-Executive Commissioner. The Senate do stand down the confirmation of Mrs. Nika Oshoba Atapa for appointment as an executive commissioner of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission because he was not available around that time because of COVID-19 problem. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, on behalf of the committee, I wish to most sincerely thank the Senate for the opportunity to serve in this regard. So I move.
Before any comments, but before then, why did you stand down the confirmation of Mrs. Yenka Oshoba Atapa? What was the issue?
Non-appearance before the committee.
She didn't appear before the committee?
Yes.
At all?
Yes.
Okay, that's good. Any comments? Leader of the Senate, Committee of the Board.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, I rise to move a motion for this distinguished chamber to resolve the Committee of the Whole to consider this report. I so move.
Minority Leader. Those in favor of the motion that the Senate resolves into Committee of the Whole to consider the report of our Committee on Trade and Investment, say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, we will start with approval. And when we come to Mrs. Yinka Oshoba Apata, will negative the confirmation, the approval. So when I put the question on her, we vote nay because it's not recommended for confirmation. Thank you. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Barrister Emeka Nwampa for appointment as chairman? Will the Senate approve the nomination of Barrister Emeka Nwampa as chairman, Chief Executive Officer of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Will the Senate approve the nomination of AVM Wakili Abdullahi Ahmed as a non-executive commissioner? As a non-executive commissioner of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Mrs. Yinka Oshoba Apata as Executive Commissioner of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission? This is where we vote nay. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The nays have it. Yes? That's how it is supposed to be. Will the Senate, she didn't appear at all, so we can't confirm someone who has not been screened. Yeah. Will the Senate Will the Senate approve the nomination of Adamu Ahmed Abdullahi as Executive Commissioner of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Babatunde Irekera as Executive Vice Chairman, Chief Executive Officer of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Is he from Kwara? Kogi? Okay, yeah, I agree with that. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Ben Obi Unwoye, JD, as a non-executive commissioner of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Theophilus S. Oyebi as a non-executive commissioner of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Ian Francis Ayer as a non-executive commissioner of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
I rise to move the motion for the chair to resume progress to enable the chair to report progress. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, Mr. Chairman, I rise to second the motion.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate reverse to plenary for the chair to report progress, those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The Senate in the Committee of the Whole considered the report of the Committee on Trade and Investment on the screening of Mr. President's nominees for appointment as Chairman, Executive Vice Chairman, Chief Executive Officer, Executive Commissioners, and Non-Executive Commissioners of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, FCCPC, and approved the nominations of Barrister Emeka Nwankpa, Chairman, AVM Wakili Abdullahi Ahmed, Non-Executive Commissioner, Babatunde Iru Kera, Executive Vice Chairman, Chief Executive Officer, Dr. Ben Obi Unwoye, JD, Non-Executive Commissioner, Adamu Ahmed Abdullahi, Executive Commissioner, Chief Theophilus S. Oyebi, Non-Executive Commissioner, Ian Francis Ayam, Non-Executive Commissioner, and the Senate stood down the approval of the nomination of Mrs. Yinka Oshoba Apata, representing Southwest. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Mob, what? How there is no mob action? All right. Thank you. Confirmation. Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Barrister Emeka Nwankpa as Chairman of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Barrister Emeka Nwankpa is hereby confirmed as Chairman of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission. Will the Senate confirm the nomination of AVM Wakili Abdullahi Ahmed as a non-executive commissioner of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of AVM Wakili Abdullahi Ahmed is hereby confirmed as a non-executive commissioner of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission. Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Babatunde Irukera as Executive Vice Chairman, CEO of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Babatunde Irukera as Executive Vice Chairman, Chief Executive Officer of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission is hereby confirmed. Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Dr. Ben Obi Nwoye JD as a non-executive commissioner of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Dr. Ben Obi Nwoye JD as a non-executive commissioner is hereby confirmed of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission. Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Adamu Ahmed Abdullahi as Executive Commissioner of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Adamu Ahmed Abdullahi is hereby confirmed as an Executive Commissioner of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission. Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Chief Theophilus S. Oyeb as non-executive commissioner of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Chief Theophilus S. Oyeb is hereby confirmed as non-executive commissioner of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission. Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Ayang Francis Ayam as a non-executive commissioner of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Ayang Francis Ayam is hereby confirmed as a non-executive commissioner of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection. Well, congratulations to all of them, and they should hit the ground running. Thank you very much, distinguished colleagues. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the ninth order of the day is the consideration of the report of the Committee on Tertiary Education and Tech Fund on the Federal College of Education, Mutumbiu, Taraba State Establishment Bill 2020. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, we recall that the report of the committee was laid on Wednesday, 1st July 2020. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Ahmad Babba Keita, Chairman of the committee, to move the motion for the consideration of the report.
Distinguished Senator Ahmad Babba Keita.
Thank you, Mr. President. My deputy is going to present the bill, sir.
Distinguished Senator Professor Sandy Ono.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Sandy Ono, Cross River Central. I'm representing the chairman, tertiary institutions and TEPFON. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues.
Prof, this your report is very bulky. Please, can you have an abridged, can you present it, summarize in a very professorial way?
I move that the Senate do consider the report of the Committee on Tertiary Institutions and Tech on the Federal College of Education, Mutumbiu, Establishment Bill 2020. I so move, Mr. President.
Seconder, please. Senator Kejev.
Thank you, Mr. President. Okay, Jeff, I represent Benue Northwest. I rise to second the motion assembly moved by Professor Sandy. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate considers the report of our Committee on Tertiary Education and Third Form, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Thank you.
Mr. President, there are actually 3 reports. I do not know whether I could, you would give me the liberty to go ahead, move that the 3 reports be accepted, so I lay them together.
Sorry, distinguished. I think we are not receiving, and this is supposed to be considered. It means the reports were late before, isn't it?
Well,
So it's consideration. And we should, because we are going close by close, we have to take them one by one. So we start with one, this Mutim bill, and then we resolve into committee of the whole to take the report close by close, and we'll come back.
So I just go straight to the observation and findings. From Mutumbi, from the views conveyed by stakeholders and members of the public at the public hearing and subsequent analysis of the presentations vis-a-vis the provisions of the bill in subsequent meetings, the committee hereby makes the following observations, findings. 1. Number 1, that stakeholders were unanimous in their support for the passage of the bill by the National Assembly. 2, that the purport of the bill is laudable as it seeks to establish an institution that will train professional teachers to address the perennial shortage of qualified teachers in recent times, which has affected the standard of education in the country. 3, that the establishment of the proposed College of Education in Mutumbiu will bring about socio-economic and educational development of the region and will encourage the prospective youths, especially women of the area who are so backward in education, to take advantage of the proximity of the college to get themselves educated. 4, that the passage of the bill will no doubt give the people of the region a sense of belonging, and this will be seen as one of the dividends of democracy. This present administration will be bequeathing to them. It will go down in history as the first tertiary institution in the town. Recommendation. The Senate Committee on Tertiary Institutions and Third Fund, having carefully considered the bill, recommends as follows. That the Senate do consider and pass the Federal College of Education, Mutumbiu, Taraba State, Establishment of Central Bill 2020 as amended. Conclusion, I wish to use this opportunity to thank the President of the Senate and our distinguished colleagues for the opportunity to serve in this capacity and to humbly request the Senate to pass the bill. I so move, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Leader of the Senate. Committee of the Whole.
Mr. President, I rise to move the motion for this distinguished Senate to resolve the Committee of the Whole to consider this report. I so move.
Mr. President, I rise to say.
Before you, Senator Susan, you are raising your hand.
Mr. President, just to appeal that since time is of the essence, why don't he make the presentation so that when you sit down in Committee of the Whole, you will take them one after the other. Otherwise, you'll be going back and coming back. So he can present the 3B in the manner he has done, so that when we resolve Committee of the Whole, you don't need to go back. You take this one, finish that one, take that one. So when you go back, you report it at the same time. It's just
okay, I thought you were going to oppose it. So it's okay. Present the other ones.
Thank you, Mr. President. The second report is on the bill for an act to provide for the establishment of the Federal University of Technology, Manchok, Kaduna State, and related matters 2020. Recommendations, observations, and findings. From the preponderance of views canvassed by stakeholders during the public hearing and analysis of the presentations, the committee hereby makes the following observations and findings. 1, that the stakeholders and all the participants at the public hearing unanimously agreed on the intendment of the bill. 2, that the establishment of the proposed federal university will bring about socio-economic and educational development of the region and will encourage the prospective youths to take advantage of the proximity of the institution to get themselves educated. And 3, that the passage of the bill will no doubt give the people of the region a sense of belonging, as this will be seen as one of the dividends of democracy. Recommendations. The Senate Committee on Tertiary and Tertiary Institutions and Third Fund, having carefully considered the bill, recommends as follows. 1, sections 1 to 27 be retained as in the bill. 2, the long and short titles of the bill be retained. And 3, the schedules of the bill be retained. Conclusion. The committee recommends that the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria do approve its recommendations accordingly. The committee wishes to express its profound gratitude to the entire Senate for its usual support. I so move, Mr. President.
Thank you. Any comments? You present the other one, the last one.
Thank you, Mr. President. The last one is on a report on a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of the Federal Polytechnic, Abia State, and related matters. Observations and findings. From the preponderance of views canvassed by stakeholders during the public hearing and analysis of same, the committee hereby makes the following observations and findings: that the stakeholders and all the participants at the public hearing unanimously agreed the intendment of the bill. 2, that the need to create more access to technical and vocational education is one of the main objectives of this bill. Therefore, the Senate should support the passage of the bill. 3, that the establishment of the proposed Federal Polytechnic will bring about socio-economic and educational development of the region and will encourage the prospective youths to take advantage of the proximity of the institution to get themselves educated. And 4, that the passage of the bill will no doubt give the people of the region a sense of belonging, as this will be seen as one of the dividends of democracy. Recommendations. The Senate Committee on Tertiary Institutions and Third Fund, having carefully considered the bill, recommends as follows. 1, sections 1 to 29 be retained as in the bill. 2, the long and short titles of the bill be retained. And 3, the schedule of the bill be retained. Conclusion. The committee recommends that the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria do approve its recommendations accordingly. The committee wishes to express its profound gratitude to the entire Senate for its usual support. I so move, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any comments, Leader of the Senate?
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, I rise to move the motion for this distinguished chamber to resolve the committee of the whole to consider the 3 reports. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Resolve into a committee of the whole in consideration of these 3 reports. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate resolves into committee of the whole to consider the reports of our committee on tertiary institutions and third fund, say aye. Those against any, the ayes have it.
Now Abia next. Now Abia next. She is the last 3. The Abia. One.
Distinguished colleagues, we start with first report. That is College of Education, Federal College of Education, Mutimbiu. That's 25 clauses, and this is not any controversial, so I will be a little bit fast. Those in favor those in favor of clauses 1 to 5 stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor of clauses 6 to 10 stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor of clauses 11 to 15 stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor of clauses 16 to 20 stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor of clauses 21 to 25 stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Schedule. Those in favor of the schedule, that the paragraph stand part of the schedule, say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Explanatory memorandum. Those in favor of the explanatory memorandum on pages 23 and 24 stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Short title. Those in favor of the short title stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. And the long title on page 1. Those in favor of the long title stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. We're taking the second report, which is Federal University of Technology, Manchok, Kaduna State. It's very straightforward, like the previous one, and has 27 clauses. Those in favor of clauses 1 to 5 stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor of clauses 6 to 10 stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor of clauses 11 to 15 stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor of clauses 16 to 20 stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor of clauses 21 to 27 stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor that the schedules 1 to 3 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. The explanatory memorandum, those in favor of the explanatory memorandum stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. The short title, those in favor of the short title stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. And the long title, those in favor of the long title stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Not yet. And the last, Federal Polytechnic, ABBA. Those in favor that clauses 1 to 5 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor that clauses 6 to 10 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor that clauses 11 to 15 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor that clauses 16 to 20 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor that clauses 21 to 25 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor that clauses 26 to 29 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor that the schedule stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. The explanatory memorandum, those in favor that the explanatory memorandum stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. The short title, those in favor that the short title stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. The long title, those in favor that the long title on page 1 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, I'd like to move a motion for this chamber to resume plenary to enable the chair report progress. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion as moved by the leader.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the Senate to reverse the plenary for the chair to report progress say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. The Senate and the Committee of the Whole considered the report of the Committee on Tertiary Institutions and Third Fund on the Federal College of Education Mutum Bill Establishment Etc. Bill 2020 and approved as follows: clauses 1 to 24 as recommended, schedules as recommended, explanatory memorandum as recommended, short title as recommended, long title as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole?
Yeah.
The Senate also in the Committee of the Whole considered the report of the Committee on Tertiary Institutions and Third Fund on the Federal University of Technology, Manchok, Kaduna State Establishment, etc. Bill 2020 and approved as follows: clauses 1 to 26 as recommended, schedules 1 to 3 as recommended, explanatory memorandum as recommended, short title as recommended, long title as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? And the Senate also in the Committee of the Whole considered the report of the Committee on Tertiary Institutions and Third Fund on the Federal Polytechnic, ABBA, Establishment, etc. Bill 2020 and approved as follows: clauses 1 to 28 as recommended, Schedule 1 as recommended, explanatory memorandum as recommended, short title as recommended, long title as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole?
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, I rise to move the motion for the Federal College of Education, Mutumbiu, Taraba State, Bill 2020 be now read the third time.
Minority Leader.
Distinguished Senate President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion that the bill on the establishment of Federal College of Education, Mutumbiu, be read a third time. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that the bill be now read a third time, say aye. Aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to establish the College of Education, Mutumbiu, Taraba State, which will, among other things, provide for full-time courses of teaching, instruction, and training in technology, applied sciences, commerce, arts, social sciences, humanities, and management, and to carry out research in development and adaptation of techniques, and also make provision for the appointment of a provost and for officials of each of the college to carry out the administration and the discipline of students of the college, and for other related matters, 2020 SB 101, third reading.
A bill for an act to establish the College of Education, Mutumbiu, Taraba State, which will, among other things, provide full-time courses of teaching, instruction, and training in technology, applied sciences, commerce, arts, social science, humanities, and management, and to carry out research in the development and adaptation of techniques, and also make provision for the appointment of a provost and the officials of each college to carry out the administration and the discipline of students of the college, and for other related matters. Third reading taken and passed. Congratulations. Now we go to the second one.
Yes, sir.
Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, I rise to move the motion that the Federal University of Technology, Manchok, Kaduna State Establishment Bill 2020 be now read the third time. I so move.
Minority Leader. Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the bill be now read the third time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of the Federal University of Technology, Manchok, Kaduna State, and for other matters connected therewith, 2020 SB 141, third reading.
A bill for an act to provide for the establishment of the Federal University of Technology, Manchok, Kaduna State, and for other matters connected therewith, 2020, third reading taken. The bill is passed, and congratulations. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, I rise to move a motion for the Federal Polytechnic Aba Establishment Bill 2020 be now read the third time. I so move.
Minority Leader.
On the motion as moved.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the bill be now read the third time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to establish the Federal Polytechnic Aba to provide full-time courses in technology, applied science, management, and other fields of studies, and to make provision for the general administration of such polytechnics and for other matters, 2020 SB 10, third reading.
A bill for an act to establish the Federal Polytechnic Aba to provide full-time courses in technology, applied science, management, and other fields of studies, and to make provisions for the general administration of such polytechnics and for other matters, 2020, third reading taken. The bill is now passed. Leader of the Senate. Questions to all the institutions.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the 12th order of the day is the second reading of an executive bill standing in my name on the 2020 FCT Appropriation Act Repeal and Re-enactment Bill 2020, Senate Bill 539. The distinguished senators will recall that the request of Mr. President Commander-in-Chief was read yesterday, Tuesday, 24th November 2020. Mr. President, with your permission, I move that the bill be read the second time.
You may proceed, Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, thank you for the opportunity to lead the debate on the general principles of the revised FCT Statutory Appropriation Bill 2020. The 2020 FCT Appropriation Act, Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2020 was read the first time yesterday, 24th November 2020. The FCT Appropriation Act, Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2020 estimates were prepared on the basis of the guidelines stipulated in the Federal Ministry of Finance Circular FMF-OHM/2020 APALT/1 dated 7th March 2020, which directed the prioritization of growth-enhancing pro-poor social sector investments. It also enables the FCT provide for expenditure made on the COVID-19 pandemic that was not anticipated when the statutory budget was prepared. Highlights of the revised FCT 2020 appropriation are presented below. You can see there we have the revenue estimates, which are 189,512,094,100 naira only. As against the 2020 statutory appropriation revenue projection of 278,355,365,947 naira only, with a difference of 88,843,273,847 naira only, or 32% lower. The reduction is to achieve a realistic budget performance in 2020 fiscal year. This was occasioned by the significant decline in the global price of crude oil well below the approved 2020 benchmark, triggered by the global COVID-19 pandemic and its multiplier effects on internally generated revenue efforts. The proposed revenue for the 2020 Appropriation Act. Number one, statutory revenue allocation. That's 1% of the receipts from the Federation account, the FCT share of the Federation account, plus VAT, excess crude account, and part scrap refunds that's accruable to the FCT. Then there is an internally generated revenue component, which is 101,489,748,096 naira only, which is accrued from the FCT generating agencies, which include Internal Revenue Service, FCT, the Abuja Geographical Information System, Abuja Environmental Protection Board, FCT Water Board, the Directorate of Road Traffic in Abuja, Department of Outdoor Advancement, and others. Then the third component is the COVID-19 federal government intervention support. The proposed expenditure is 189,512,094,100 naira only. This is proposed in the revised statutory budget as against the earlier 2020 appropriation figure, which I had mentioned earlier. Number one, of the projected total expenditure, the sum of 71,898,469,314 naira only is proposed for personnel costs, against the appropriated sum of 55,878,241,095 naira only, representing 29% increase. In the same vein, the sum of 55,691,319,788 naira only is proposed for overhead costs, against the earlier appropriated sum of 62,343,723,453 naira only, representing a reduction of 11%. While the sum of 61,922,304,998 naira only is proposed for capital expenditure as against the earlier appropriated sum of 160,133,401,417 naira only, which is 61% lower for the capital expenditure. The projects affected in the reduction will be rolled over into the 2021 budget. Arising from the foregoing, therefore, the aggregate reduction in the expenditure projection is at 2% in order to achieve a balanced budget. Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, I urge you all to give this bill an expeditious passage into law. I thank you and God bless you all.
Senator Abukar.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. My name is Abukar, Senator representing but not North. Mr. President, I rise to second the motion moved by the leader for the second reading of the Federal Capital Territory Statutory Appropriation Act, Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2020, SB 539. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, you may recall that the FCT Statutory Appropriation Bill 2020 was passed and assented into law. However, as a result of the COVID pandemic, FCT's statutory appropriation bill is comprised of, like the leader has mentioned, the statutory payments from allocation from the federal government and also the IGR. This year we have seen a setback on the internally generated revenue, which necessitated this review. And as such, the cumulative reduction in the whole Statutory Act of 2020 has fallen from 278 billion 355 million to 189 billion 512 million, which is a reduction of 32%. The bill itself is self-explanatory, and I urge my colleagues to give this bill the passage of second reading. Thank you.
Distinguished colleagues, I think we can just go for the second reading. The bill is self-explanatory. The lead debate is very rich enough and very enlightening and educating, and the intervention by the chairman, Senate Committee on the FCT, I think I said it all. So I'll put the question. Those in favor that this bill be now read a second time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to authorize the issue from the Federal Capital Territory Administration Statutory Revenue Fund of the Federal Capital Territory Administration account the total sum of 189,512,994,100 naira only, of which the sum of 71,898,469,314 naira only is for the personnel cost, and the sum of 55,691,788 naira only is for overhead costs, while the balance of 61,922,304,998 naira only is for capital projects for the service of the Federal Capital Territory Abuja for the financial year commencing from 1st January and ending on 31st December 2020, SB 539, second reading.
A bill for an act to authorize the issue from the Federal Capital Territory Administration Statutory Revenue Fund of the Federal Capital Territory Administration account the total sum of 189,512,094,100 naira only, of which the sum of 71,898,469,314 naira only is for personnel costs, and the sum of 55,691,319,788 naira only is for overhead costs, while the balance of 61,992,922,304,998 922,304,998 naira only is for capital projects for the service of the Federal Capital Territory Abuja for the financial year commencing from 1st January and ending on 31st December 2020, second reading. And the bill is referred to the Committee on FCT to report back within 1 week. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the 13th order of the day is the second reading of an executive bill standing in my name on the National Commission Against Proliferation of Small Arms and Light Weapons, Establishment, etc. Bill 2020. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was read the first time in this chamber on Wednesday, 7th October 2020. Mr. President, with your permission, I move that the bill be read the second time.
We proceed, Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, this bill is a counterpart to another bill which was sponsored by distinguished Senator Smart Adevi on the National Commission Against Proliferation of Small Arms, Light Weapons, establishment. The purpose of this particular bill, it was a private member's bill at that time, but this one is coming from the institution itself. That's why I am reading it, and the idea is for the committee, if with the approval, for the committee to look and see whether it can be harmonized, so that the best, outcome will come at the end of the work of the committee. This bill essentially seeks to make provision for coordination and implementation of the activities to curb and combat the problem of small arms and light weapon proliferation in Nigeria, in line with the United Nations Protocol on an ECOWAS protocol on small arms and light weapons, which has been really the scourge of insecurity in this country. The bill seeks to identify the sources and main routes through which these arms come into the country, liaise with relevant authorities, agencies, and organizations with the aim of tackling these menace, and explore all avenues to achieve adequate funding for this campaign. Recommend possible ways to monitor, curb, and mitigate these nagging illegal activities of unscrupulous and dangerous persons, companies, and organizations. Itemize and identify promoters, users, patrons, and reasons for these illegal activities. Train and build the capacity of the corps and others in law enforcement agencies toward effective enforcement of this mandate. Put in place all the machinery needed for successful prosecution of this campaign to combat illegal importation of small arms, ammunition, and light weapons. Enhance coordination and, where possible, harmonization of intelligence and information collection, information analysis, and the dissemination of information results among intelligence organs and law enforcement agencies involved, etc. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the proliferation of small arms and light weapons has been one of the key nagging factors that is responsible for the proliferation of insecurity and the challenges of insecurity that we are facing in this country. It is a piece of the activities that is eating into the survival of emerging nations in the international scene, especially in Africa. It is a phenomenon that is destabilizing our country and our region. The complication there is that it involves illegal arms and weapons of terror worldwide that inform the United Nations to come into this issue. Studies reveal that since 2006, the ECOWAS Convention on Small Arms Light Weapons came into action. Nigeria has organized just one illegal arms collection program. That is the recently amnesty program organized by the late Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, President Alhaji Umaru Musa Yar'Adua. But Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, organizing just one arms collection program since 2006 is not impressive for a country that causes arms violence every day. It was further revealed that institutional mechanisms put in place in Nigeria, as recognized by the Convention to Combat Proliferation of Small Arms and Light Weapons, is handicapped by lack of autonomy and also lack of adequate funding. The National Consultation on Physical Security and Stockpile Management in 2019 in Abuja, organized by the United Nations Regional Center for Peace and Disarmament in Africa and the Presidential Committee on Small Arms and Light Weapons, revealed that Nigeria hosts 350 million or 70% of the 500 million illegal arms in West Africa. Small arms and light weapons are readily available, easy to use, and have been the primary and sole tool of violence in almost all conflict of banditry, kidnapping in our society. These weapons of terror are in the hands of irregular troops and combatants operating with scant respect for international humanitarian law. They have taken a heavy toll on human lives, human property, women and children, accounting for nearly 80% of casualties. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, in Nigeria this has become a very serious security challenge. There is general insecurity in most parts of the country, and our people are experiencing high levels of crime perpetrated using illegal arms. The United Nations estimates that most substantial percentage of illegal arms that is circulating in West Africa today are in Nigeria. This has fueled violent conflict as witnessed in the Niger Delta, kidnapping in the southeast, armed robbery pandemic in the southwest, ethnic and religious violence in Plateau and Kaduna, and the Boko Haram terrorist operation in the northeast, and descent into violence and banditry in the northwest zone. Establishment of a national small arms and light weapons commission is a legal obligation for the countries which are party to those legally binding instruments, which include commitment to establish a national coordination mechanism, such as, for instance, the Nairobi Protocol and the ECOWAS Convention of Small Arms and Light Weapons. Mr. President, I believe that this bill, when passed into law, will go a long way in preventing and curbing insecurity challenges in our country with various minimum. I therefore urge all of us to support the second reading of this bill. I so submit, Mr. President.
Senator Sumatedini.
Mr. President, I rise to support this bill. In supporting this bill, Mr. President, I want to commend you for bringing up this bill at this time. This is one of the bills that very critical.
I want to be paid.
For how long has been hanging?
Some of the problems confronting our nation, talking about the peace and stability of Nigeria. I doubt if there's any time in our history as a nation that we have been so threatened, so disturbed with wanton killings and destruction of properties. Mr. President, you recall that sometime in October, I had the privilege of sponsoring the bill of an act towards restricting the abuse of movement of ammunition, small arms, and light weapons in the country. There is no doubt, Mr. President, that this bill is seeking for an agency that will enforce the provisions of the bill that we have passed for the second reading. Therefore, Mr. President, having a commission in place will no doubt help in restricting and combating those who derive their source of livelihood by shedding the blood of innocent Nigerians by way of importing to the country arms and small weapons. Mr. President, a lot has been said about the insecurity of our nation, but I think having a commission in place will be an answer towards minimizing, if not eradicating, the inexplicable killings and movement of weapons in our nation. I must say I'm delighted again that this bill, Mr. President, is seeking for the establishment of a commission. And this commission will go a long way in not just minimizing or arresting those who are in the business of illegal arms and light weapons in the country, but by having the commission in place, Mr. President, we'll only be providing job opportunities for millions of young Nigerians who are educated, who are strong enough to defend the cause of our nation. So I support this bill, Mr. President, and I want to urge that we all give our support for the establishment of a commission that will be given the power to enforce the restriction and movement of illegal arms. I will say this, Mr. President. I equally want to add that one of the problems confronting us today as a nation is some of the conventions that we have signed. Nigeria happened to be a signatory to so many conventions out of our desire to be seen as the big brother in Africa. Today, Mr. President, some of these conventions guarantee free movement of members people from member states. That is, nationals from ECOWAS country. They come unrestricted. Today, Mr. President, some of the killings going on in Nigeria, they are not done by the indigenous, so to speak, by Nigerians. These are people who migrated from other parts of West Africa under the convention we have signed of free movement of goods, of people and goods and services in West Africa. So in having this commission, Mr. President, one aspect that we must equally look at is those conventions that we have signed in time past that guaranteed the movement of people from West African sub-region without any restriction. These are one set of people who come into Nigeria with illegal arms, light arms, small arms, and start killing our people. I support this bill, Mr. President. I support the establishment of a commission that will put an end to illegal small arms and light weapons proliferation in our nation. I so submit, Mr. President, and I thank you.
Is anybody against the bill? Clerk of, I'll put the question then. Those in favor that this bill be now read a second time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act established the Nigerian National Commission against the proliferation of small arms and light weapons to coordinate and implement activities to combat the problems of the proliferation of small arms and light weapons in Nigeria, in line with the Economic Community of West African States Convention on Small Arms and Light Weapons and for Related Matters 2020, second reading.
A bill for an act to establish the Nigerian National Commission against the proliferation of small arms and light weapons to coordinate and implement activities to combat the problem of the proliferation of small arms and light weapons in Nigeria, in line with the Economic Community of West African States Convention on Small Arms and Light Weapons and for Related Matters 2020, second reading taken, and the bill is referred to the Senate Committee on National Security and Intelligence to report back within 4 weeks. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the 14th order of the day is the second reading of the Tertiary Education Trust Fund Act, Amendment Bill 2020. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was read the first time in this chamber on Thursday, 28 May 2020. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Michael Opeyemi Bamidele to move the motion for the bill to be read the second time.
Senator Bamidele.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I am Michael Opeyemi Bamidele. I represent the Ekiti Central Senatorial District. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I respectfully rise to lead the debate on the general principles of the Tertiary Education Trust Fund Establishment, etc. Act, Amendment Bill 2020. The bill was read for the first time on Thursday, 28 May 2020. In a nutshell, the bill seeks to amend sections 4, 7, and 20 of the Tertiary Education Trust Fund Establishment, etc. Act 2011, herein after referred to as the Principal Act, to add the Nigerian Law School as one of the benefiting tertiary institutions in Nigeria for the purpose of disbursement of education tax under the Act. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, by way of a proper context and historical basis for the proposed amendment, it is imperative to state here that the report of the Unsworth Committee on Legal Education, which recommended the establishment of an indigenous law school for the vocational training of aspiring legal practitioners in Nigeria, conceived the Nigerian Law School as a tertiary institution with the sole mandate of bridging the gap between academic study of law in Nigeria, in Nigerian or foreign universities, and the practical application of the law. Based on this, it therefore becomes incumbent on the Nigerian Law School to ensure that students adapt their academic knowledge to the conditions of practice by introducing them to the practical skills and techniques of legal practice. There is no gainsaying that the Nigerian Law School is the only institution responsible for vocational training of lawyers in Nigeria. Undoubtedly, it is saddled with a critical statutory responsibility, bearing in mind that lawyers play leading roles in the socio-economic condition of the country. Perhaps lawyers as judges in private or corporate practice, in the academics or in government, immensely shape the society and the lives of their fellow human beings. It should be emphasized that over 5 decades since the establishment of the Nigerian Law School, the institution, which commenced operation in January 1963 with only 8 students at its mono campus in Lagos, has since expanded rapidly into a multi-campus law school with its headquarters now in Buhari, Abuja, and 5 other campuses in Lagos, Enugu, Kano, Bayelsa, and Yola. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the expansion of the Nigerian Law School from its former mono-campus system to the present multi-campus law school was necessitated by the increasing demand for space at the school. This inevitable expansion, of course, has its attendant challenges, such as increasing demand for befitting learning facilities, including lecture halls, e-library, and ICT deployment in the multiple campuses to enhance learning, provision of hostel accommodation, and other infrastructural facilities suitable for effective training of globally competitive lawyers in Nigeria. Indeed, the training of the 21st century lawyer is becoming more and more expensive. Hence, the need for this distinguished Senate to consider the inclusion of the Nigerian Law School as one of the tertiary institutions to benefit from the infrastructural intervention project of TED Fund, which is the main thrust of this amendment. Highlights of the bill. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, specifically, this bill seeks to amend Section 4 of the Principal Act by inserting the words the Nigerian Law School as one of the tertiary institutions to benefit from the interventions of the TED Fund. Similarly, the distribution ratio of education tax to be disbursed by the TED Fund as provided in the Principal Act is proposed for amendment from the extant ratio of 2:1:1 for universities, polytechnics, and colleges of education to a new distribution ratio of 2:1:1:1 for universities, the Nigerian Law School, polytechnics, and colleges, to take into account the proposed inclusion of the Nigerian Law School as one of the beneficiaries of TED Fund interventions. The provision of Section 20 of the Principal Act is also proposed for amendment to reflect a new interpretation of the words tertiary institution to mean universities, the Nigerian Law School, polytechnics, and colleges of education, established in accordance with the laws of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. In conclusion, Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, considering the relevance of this bill to the development of legal education in Nigeria in general, and in particular, the Nigerian Law School, as it pertains to provision of infrastructural facilities that would create a conducive enabling environment for learning, I wish to appeal for the support of my distinguished colleagues for the passage of this bill in compliance with Order 77 sub 3 of the Senate Standing Orders 2015 as amended, the proposed bill has no additional financial burden on the treasury of the federal government. I thank you, Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, for your kind attention, and I so move.
Thank you. Senator Gabriel Suswam, do you want to contribute?
Mr. President, honorable colleagues, my name is Dr. Gabriel Suswam. Mr. President, let me thank the mover of this bill, Mr. President, because, like he said, when some of us went to law school, as they said, was a mono-campus, just one campus. Now the campuses have been spread. The implication of that, Mr. President, is that more resources need to be deployed to keep the standard. The danger in lowering the standard as a result of lack of funding is that you have quack lawyers all over the place. And so for us to keep the standard, the law school needs to...
I hope the quack lawyers are not responsible for this.
I hope so too. People like Keita, I'm not sure. Mr. President, and so the normal funding of law school as a mono-campus is being expanded. And so there's the absolute need for us to amend the provisions of TED Fund in order to accommodate these multi-campuses of the Nigerian law school so that they can also benefit from funding there so as to keep the high standard that is required of law school and of lawyers. And so, Mr. President, I think that all senators, this is a straightforward bill. It does not need much argument. All senators should unanimously support this bill, Mr. President. I so submit.
Is there anybody against the bill? Those in favor that this bill be now read a second time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to amend the Tertiary Education Trust Fund Act 2007 and other matters connected therewith 2020 SB 428, second reading.
A bill for an act to amend the Tertiary Education Trust Fund Act 2007 and other matters connected therewith 2020, second reading taken, and the bill is referred to the Committee on Tertiary Institutions and TED Fund to report back within 4 weeks. Leader of the Senate. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the 15th order of the day is the second reading of the Federal University of Agriculture Establishment, etc. Bill 2020. The distinguished senators will recall that the bill was read the first time in this chamber on Wednesday, 29th January 2020. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Smart Ademi to move the motion for the bill to be read the second time.
Distinguished Senator Smart Ademi, former comrade.
Very much. Your Excellency, I must thank you that you know we are seeing very much in this struggle.
On behalf of the masses.
This struggle is our life, Mr. President. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, this bill is a bold step towards not only addressing the educational needs of the people of Congo West Central District, but Nigeria as a whole. It will equally serve as a training ground for the development of agriculture in the country. Agriculture with its allied sectors is unquestionably the largest livelihood provider, more also in the rural areas, and can contribute significantly to our gross domestic product. Demand for agricultural products is rising rapidly with increase in population, per capita income, and growing demand from industrial sectors. The Amadou Bello College of Agriculture, Kaba, when upgraded to university status, will provide the holistic development of agricultural education, knowledge, skills, and the telescope vision on future that will help them contribute to accelerated agricultural growth rates, enhance farmers' income, and generate employment in that sector. The institution, which has been awarding diploma, we now offer a 4-year BSc agriculture program. This will give the students a platform to enable the country to achieve self-sufficiency in food, reduce poverty, and bring economic transformation to millions of rural families. The objective for which the university is established, among others, are to encourage the advancement of learning and to uphold to all persons without discrimination of race, creed, sex, or political conviction. To develop and offer academic and professional programs leading to the award of certificates, first degrees, postgraduate research, diploma and higher degrees with emphasis on planning, developmental and adaptive skills in education, technology, applied science, agriculture, commerce, arts, social science, humanities, management, and allied professional discipline. To produce socially matured agriculturists with capacities not only to understand agricultural needs of Nigeria as a nation, but also to exploit existing agro infrastructure and improve on it to develop new technologies. To collaborate with other national and international institutions involved in training, research, and development of agriculture with a view to promoting good governance, leadership, and management skills among agriculturists. To identify agricultural needs of the society with a view to finding solutions to them within the context of overall national development. To undertake any other activities that are appropriate for the University of Agriculture for the highest standard. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the establishment of this university will subdue the Ahmadu Bello College of Agriculture, Kaba, which was first established by the one and only Sardauna of Sokoto, Ahmadu Bello, whom some of us today personify in this chamber, Mr. President.
Please, no impersonation allowed.
This tribalized, selfless Nigeria and the spirit of unity promoted the idea of establishment of College of Agriculture far away from Zaria and situated it in Kaba, the present headquarters of Kogi West Central District. One noticeable feature, Mr. President, in the development of universities in Nigeria is the emergence of specialized universities, not only in Nigeria, Mr. President. Globally, the trend of establishment of university today is talking about specialized university. Most of these focus on science and technology, while only 3, Makurdi, Abeokuta, and Umudike in Nigeria, and Zulu focuses on agriculture, hence the need to upgrade the Ahmadu Bello College of Agriculture, Kaba, to a university to increase the tally to 4, or now to 5. As a matter of fact, this will help us as a government to accelerate economic development, improve agriculture, and expand other scope of foreign reserve earning for our nation. Mr. President, my highly respected colleagues, the Ahmadu Bello College of Agriculture, Kaba, is a well-established institution with state-of-the-art infrastructure, even better than what is obtainable in several other universities in the country today. This is because when it was established by the Sardauna of Sokoto, it gave the university college a very solid foundation. That today, Mr. President, the College of Agriculture, Kaba, can be compared with any full-fledged university in Nigeria, despite being a diploma awarding college. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I wish to state that there is no financial implication to this bill. All the operational structures are already in place as the university is taking, when the university is taking over from the existing Ahmadu Bello College and University Zaria. I hereby urge you, Mr. President, and my colleagues here, to please give all your support to this college, which is over 60 years standing, established by Sardauna of Sokoto himself when he was the Premier of Northern Region. Sardauna was a detribalized Nigeria who came to Kaba to ask the people what can I do for you? Our people said they love education and agriculture. And Sardauna established that college in 1963. If Sardauna was to be alive, this college would be one of the first or the second generation of university in Nigeria. Whatever you do today is to fulfill a part of our national anthem, the labor of our heroes past shall never be in vain. I so submit, Mr. President.
Senator Bala Bunana.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, and my distinguished colleagues. I had the privilege of passing by that college about 21 years ago. And last year again I was there. In our discussion, sir, we agreed that the vast resources of this country are enormous. All we need is to harness these resources. When that college was established, it was about the same time that under the Ahmadu Bello University Zaria, places were identified with capabilities to develop agriculture, as at that time believing that it was going to be the mainstay of our economy until oil was eventually discovered. And the idea was to promote research in what we can say products that will have comparative advantage over. And Kaba being in the Savannah region, it was anticipated then that it will develop all those crops and trees that have economic values that Nigeria can depend upon to promote its earning based on exports. Unfortunately, with the death of Lake Sardauna of Sokoto and the discovery of oil, we decided to abandon or to neglect, let me use the appropriate word, the reason for establishing these institutions. But they were well researched and located with the best of intention to develop the economy of this country, relying on agriculture. And the fact that so much has been invested and the college is still in existence in that area, I think it will be nice if we go back to our drawing board and at least accept the fact that all other variables that have been fetching money for other countries will have their time lag. But what will remain constant is agriculture, because we must continue to eat as long as we exist. So what it means is that the only thing that Nigeria can rely upon and show some reasonable predictability of earning from it is agriculture. So I, on this note, believe that this bill is right and should be supported by my colleagues. The only thing I wish to correct is that as at today, we have 4 duly established Federal University of Agriculture. And an addition of additional 1 or 2 is not out of place in view of the size of this country. I'm therefore in support of this bill, and I urge my colleagues to support same. Thank you, sir.
Is anybody against the bill? Those in favor that the bill be now read the second time, say aye. Those against, any the ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to establish Federal University of Agriculture, Kaba, to make comprehensive provision for its due management and administration and for related matters 2020, second reading.
A bill for an act to establish the Federal University of Agriculture, Kaba, to make comprehensive provisions for its due management and administration and for related matters 2020, second reading taken, and the bill is referred to the Committee on Tertiary Institutions and TED Fund to report back within 4 weeks. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, having come this far and having worked so hard on more than 18 items on our order paper, and also realizing and recognizing the need for some of our committees who still have submissions to make before our appropriation committee, I will move a motion for this distinguished chamber to step down the other items on this order paper to this order paper to another legislative date. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I so second the motion ably moved by the leader.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that we stand down the consideration of the remaining items on the order paper, say aye. Till another legislative day, say aye.
Aye.
Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, I rise to move a motion for the Senate to adjourn its deliberations until tomorrow, 26th. Tomorrow, Thursday, 26th. You don't want to come?
It's Tuesday.
Oh, it's Tuesday. So it's Tuesday.
Leader, we are adjourning till Tuesday, the 1st December 2020.
So with due respect, my colleagues, I move the motion for this distinguished chamber to adjourn until Tuesday, 1st December 2020. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I stand to second the motion moved by the leader that the Senate adjourns to Tuesday, 1st of December for another legislative day. I so second.
Okay, distinguished colleagues, before I put the question, let me emphasize that our committees who have not defended their budget before the Appropriations Committee have only tomorrow and Friday. And that will be the end, because we have consciously designed our program to ensure that we pass the budget, we receive the budget on the 3rd of December from the Appropriations Committee, both in the Senate and the House. And we need to meet that deadline. So all committees who have not defended their budget before the Appropriations Committee should do so between today, tomorrow, and Friday. Let's imagine what would have happened to this economy if we had not passed the 2020 budget before December, and if the budget 2020 had not been, the implementation had not started in January. The GDP of this country would have gone far below, far worse than minus 6.2. We have gone into a second recession, we all admit. The GDP is minus 3.6. This is with implementation of well over 50, let's say 70 on the average of our current 2020 budget. So there is every reason for us to pass the 2021 budget in order to have the implementation of the 2021 start in January next year, because that is the only way to beat the current recession that we are in. So there is no way we can retract what we have started so well, and I believe that our committees would go and defend their budgets before the Appropriations Committee between today, tomorrow, and Friday. With this, let me thank everyone, and those in favor of the motion. Sorry, before that, APC caucus meeting is 2 p.m. today at hearing room 1. All are invited. Both the current APC senators, the prospective APC senators, our friends, including, not only Larry, including Philip Aduda, and so many others, including Gabriel Suswam. So those in favor of the motion, no, it's okay. This is not an umbrella. we sweep scenes, so we have a lot of space for everyone. Umbrella is limited, you know. Those in favor that this Senate do adjourn till first day of December, 1st December 2020 at 10 a.m. prompt, say aye. Those against say nay, ayes have it. The Senate is hereby adjourned till first day of December 2020 at 10 a.m. prompt.